Good evening, everyone. Good evening, good evening, good evening, good evening. How are you all doing this evening? I hope all is well. How are you all? You all good? All right. Amen. Amen. I myself am excited. It seems like I will have to put these live for 7:30 now rather than 7 p.m. because it actually is ending up to being 7:30 p.m. that we are end up going live rather than 7 p.m. So tell a neighbor, tell a friend, tell somebody that we are live and we are actually about to do dream interpretations on friends, family, and the workplace. These are atmospheres that can either make you or break you in this life. And that is something that's a reality that we face. That is a reality that we cannot even begin to understand the importance behind it. So before we get into it, tell anybody that you believe that needs to hear this that we are live. I'm just taking some time out to share this to the different persons that I was supposed to share it to. Nevertheless, I hope that you all had a good week. I hope that everything went well for you all, that you all received the blessings that you all needed. And for persons that have been asking about the books, it is live now. It is actually on Amazon. So the solutions, even though we did the dream interpretation last week, the solutions is not something that I would actually discuss too heavily on the live um, for for a lot of reasons, actually. But it is in the book. So if it is that you desire to know how to go about dealing with the circumstances that you probably would have faced with whether it is in relationship, in marriage, dealing with marital delay, dealing with spiritual spouse, whether you were someone that was abused, different scenarios. So I want you all to take into consideration that the solutions are there. So it's not something that I would touch on it just briefly, but actually the meat of the solutions are in the book. So in order to actually get the solutions, you would have to actually purchase the book. Now, before we get into the actual part of what the meat of what we're going to get into, which is friends, family, and the workplace. What? So tell me something. Anybody know what a friend is? Anybody could give me an idea of what they believe a friend to be? Because we have to start at the basics before we move on, to the deeper aspect of what we would be discussing. Anybody want to try what a friend is or what they believe a friend is?
I believe a friend is somebody that you can share certain things with in confidence, and that that they would not a true friend. Then we have many friends, and sometimes they share something with friends and we hear it all over.
Right.
And a friend is something you can share, and they will keep it to themselves, and they will encourage you then in what maybe you have shared with them.
Makes sense. Makes sense. All right. All right. Cool. All right. So, a friend, Google has the differentiation of a friend as a person with whom one has a bond of mutual affection. Mutual affection. So, A friend, if I consider you a friend or you consider me a friend, it would be that the bond is supposed to be something that is mutual. Not so? It's supposed to be a mutual thing. Although one-way friendships, unfortunately so. But we would actually be speaking about taking some time out to actually break down the aspects of the different type of friends, what an acquaintance is, and what an associate is before we actually get into the dream interpretation. Because if it is that we do the interpretation without persons having the understanding of actually what they're supposed to be looking for or looking at, then you can put the information in the wrong place. And that is something that I don't want us to do. Right? So when coming to friends, now friends is a serious topic. Why I say it is a serious topic? Because many of us don't know how to differentiate between a friend, an acquaintance, and an associate. Right? A friend, an acquaintance, and an associate. Now, the thing is, between a friend and an acquaintance, the two tend to look the same. The two tend to look the same, the two tend to look very similar, and that is the danger with choosing friends and persons who are acquaintance. The thing about life is every friend starts at the point of being an acquaintance. Every person that you meet that is not family begins at the point of being an acquaintance. Unfortunately, we graduate them a bit too quick in life and we tend to feel the brunt of the law for it, so to speak, right? So the mix up actually comes as well because a friend and an acquaintance, they sometimes carry on the persona as if they are a friend very fast. So it actually allows us to graduate them to that place too quick without actually letting them go through the stages of actually earning what a friend is supposed to be. Right? So what I would say is I want to debunk what we call a yes friend. A yes friend, good night, good night, good night. Thank you for joining us. Share, subscribe, and share it with your friends, share it with family members, share it with anybody that you think may need to get this in tonight because you realize that they probably have some situations when coming to choosing people to be in their life, right? So, as I was saying, let's deal with the as friends. Now, if anyone knows me or if it is that you have been friends with me for a while or you know me for a while, you would know that I am not the yes friend. I am not the friend that would tell you that you are correct when you are wrong. I am not the friend that would tell you everything that you want to hear in your favor because we are friends. It doesn't work like that with me, unfortunately so. What some of us are looking for and we mistake is looking for a yes person, a yes friend. What a yes friend is a silent murderer. A silent murderer of your future because what that yes friend does or that yes person does is they agree with you on everything, therefore not bringing you to a place of accountability. Somebody say accountability.
Accountability.
Accountability. See, the thing about accountability is it is a high price to pay. And it is a price that many persons don't like to pay. But it is a price once paid, you realize how high the price is and you realize you don't want to pay that price anymore. So if you have a yes friend, that yes friend would not be the friend that holds you accountable. Thereby, you now forfeit your future. You now forfeit growth in who you're supposed to become because you have a yes friend or a yes person. I can even push it further to say you can have a yes spouse, a yes husband, or a yes wife. And that can be the death of your future right there without knowing. So, because this person may develop a fright for losing the friendship or losing the relationship or losing the whatever ship it may be, could be family, that this person ends up being a yes person, that if it everything you say goes, even if that thing is wrong. And it now puts you in a place where you don't have to pay the price of accountability. So for every time that you escape paying the price of accountability, it means you get away one time again and you get away one time again. But you stay at the same level in life. You don't move on. You don't move on, nor do you learn from your mistakes. So you continue making mistakes because you have not been held accountable. So that is why I say the yes person is a silent murderer. Now, the thing about it is when you have come to the realization that that yes person is a mediocre place to be and you try to grow from there, that is where problem comes in. Problem comes in because have you ever tried to get out of a mediocre situation? The hardest situation in life to get out from is a mediocre situation. When you are in a mediocre place, you know what mediocre is? That is just bare minimum, basic. You are operating with someone in a basic place and it doesn't grow beyond that level. But because it's a place of complacency, it's a place of comfort, there is no growth. That's because you say yes to me, I say yes to you. You say yes to me, I say yes to you. There is nobody that has the reasoning being brought to the table, the rationale, I should say. The rationale of the different perspective that allows one to see things from a different perspective. In every circumstance, whether relationship, whether friendship, whether family, there are two persons in every communication. Even while you're on work, there is employer-employee communication. In family, there is family and family, whether it's cousin and cousin, husband and wife, auntie and uncle. There is always a dual connection in which somebody has to be the person that carries a different level. If nobody carries a different level, you stay at the same place. What do you bring to the table is a question that society wants to push under the carpet, but it's an important question. Because in every communication that you would have in life, there is what do you bring to my table? If I have a communication with you, there is something of validity that I bring to your life as to why you desire to have a communication with me. Same thing with you. Same thing with everyone else that is listening. There is some measure of value, some measure of virtue, some measure of worth that I bring to your life as to why you even want to communicate with me. But if I continue to be the person that when you come and say, this situation happened, what is your perspective? And you could say, nah, that person was wrong. That person should not have done this or that person should not have done that. But you in your mind know that the correct thing that should have been done is this by that by the other. Now that if you're in a public forum, I'm not saying that you hang your friend naked. It's not, because that's not what friends do. But you are able to find substantial ground whereby in the public, persons don't know that yourself or your friend did something to that extent that pose a threat to your friendship. But behind closed doors, you must be able to come and bring them to a place of accountability whereby they can deal with it and grow from there. If that is not happening, brothers, sisters, and whomsoever is listening, there is no growth. And you are either in a friendship with a silent murderer, or you are in a relationship with a silent murderer. You could even be in a marriage with a silent murderer and not know it, because that person has not developed their personality, their identity has not been fortified to the place to bring a perspective of accountability that now warrants growth. You know? So it leaves everybody on the same level playing field. But try to get rid of a mediocre person. It is when the silent murderer will now become alive. Hear me when I tell you. Try to get rid of, if the day you wake up, any one of you all or anyone online who wake up and realize I am in a mediocre situation and I'm supposed to be at a higher level, but you realize certain friendships, certain family, yes, family too, I said it, family, they will pull you down with mediocrity. But the mediocrity is hidden in the form of quote unquote love. So I can't go in and let us teach tonight about dream interpretations and not debunk what is hiding behind what the dreams that you would actually have. Family could hide mediocrity in the relation that you all have, and it can come in the form of I love you, or it looks like love. It comes with an emotional forum, an emotional platform. And the emotional platform actually is what blocks you from breaking the ceiling to go to the next level. And the next level is what they're trying to keep you from, because at the next level, they would not be able to have access to you. Unfortunately so. Now, if you were to evolve and your eyes start to open, that is when the silent murderer becomes an active killer.
Correct.
A silent murderer, if you need to write that down, you need to write that down. A silent murderer in mediocrity now becomes an active killer when you try to grow from the mediocre situation. Because they realize if you grow to that place, they will not have access to you. They will not have a hold on you as how they have a hold now. Unfortunately so. Right? So the circumstances is so in depth, and it's a hard thing to face, because we could spend so much time in mediocrity, so many years in mediocrity, communicating at the mediocre level, that we become blinded that the future is unforeseeable. The only future we could see is within that mediocre situation. And it now becomes our place of death. No matter how God showing you this dream, God showing you that dream, God might whisper in your ear that, hear what, I am trying to get you out of this friendship. I am trying to get you out from this family settings. I am trying to get you out of even the workplace. When God was calling Abraham, God told Abraham, come out from amongst your family and amongst your kindred, and I will take you to a land that I will show you. The thing about it is, when Abraham was coming out, he still brought Lot with him. He still brought family in which God never told him to bring. He tried to carry mediocrity with him to the next level. He tried to carry that which God tried to disconnect him from to the next level. So much so that God had to shake. Well, I would say God had to shake the fence. Because there was a time when now Abraham and Lot came into dispute and they had to go separate ways. Only after Abraham went separate ways with Lot, then did he see the actual promised land that God actually promised him when that time came. He had to separate. Who do you have to separate from? And who do you not have the belly to separate from? That is the question tonight before we even go anyway into dream interpretation. Who do you have to separate from, and who do you do not have the belly to separate from? Because it has been, you have pledged your loyalty to them so much. You've literally pledged your loyalty to mediocrity when God is showing you higher ground. That is a sad place to be. Now, I could testify. Why I could say I could testify? There were circumstances that I myself was in, and I saw ways and attributes in persons, and I say, you know what, God, I made a vow that I would love them in spite of, right? I would love them in spite of, and God said, "Oh, you would love them in spite of. Let me show you this dummy." And the kind of hills and valleys that I saw with my little heart here of saying, I would love them in spite of. Not because you have a good heart, it means that everybody else around you will have a good heart as well to treat you how you treat them. No, that is not the case. And that is a reality that a lot of us have to wake up to. Not because you have a good heart, it means that everyone else will treat you the way how you desire to be treated. That reciprocity is not there with everyone. Let's face that. And it could be within the closest friend, it could be within the husband, the wife, the daughter, the mother, whosoever. This is a reality check.
It is.
This is a reality check this evening before we even go into anything else. Because if it is, we don't face the first reality of, if it is, we identify the friendships we have, the family we have, the workplace that we operate in, and don't start putting people in the correct categories, we can end up in a serious place of what is called a Nima cycle. What a Nima cycle is, not just a Nima cycle, but patterns. You know, January the 1st would come, and you will say, this is my year, 2024. I'm sure everyone wrote their New Year's resolution of what they want to see come to pass. But it's just a different year, but you are still living 2023. You are still living 2022. The year just keeps changing in figure, but nothing changes in your life because your atmosphere and the people have not changed. So the patterns continue. But because at the moment in mediocrity, they stay as being silent murderers, feeding you with the emotion of love, quote unquote love. It actually blinds you for the moment. This is why God really doesn't need us to operate in our feelings. Because if we operate in feelings, a lot of persons would stay in our life that is supposed to go.
Correct.
A lot of persons would stay year after year, and we will continue to repeat the patterns. Every year we'll be singing, this year is our year, and nothing will change because the atmosphere is different and is not different, and the people are not different, and everything remains the same in the name of love, in the name of loyalty. But little do you know, it is actually in the name of staying in mediocrity. Right? So, I mean, that is one aspect of dealing with the aspect of friendship, both family and persons who are associates in the workplace. Because when we deal with associates, that's a whole other topic. Because in associates, you develop a bond as well. You know, with persons who you are there, you probably work at 8 to 4, a Monday to Friday, and you spend time with these people. So you build a bond. Exactly, right? So it means now that there is also a possibility that these associates could become friends. So, but the thing is, there is a silver lining, I would like to call it. There is a test announce that something good is about to happen to you. Announce that you get a breakthrough or you're up for a promotion. Somebody go and open the gate. Somebody, I'm hearing someone calling.
That's not no.
Right? So, associates, tell them that you're about to get a promotion or you got the promotion. Look at their reaction.
Oh, yeah.
Look at how they treat it. And then that will let you know if that person is one to be promoted as friend, or if that person is to stay at associate, or even to be an acquaintance while being in the atmosphere of associate. They come in. Sorry about that. So, because I'm slowly getting to realize a lot of humans don't like to see good for people,
No.
unfortunately. And it is so heartbreaking.
It is.
What actually, so nobody must get ahead in life. Nobody must accomplish anything.
Misery is company.
Misery likes company. It is so unfortunate. It is unfortunate because I'm telling you, to have that mindset is witchcraft. It is indirect witchcraft. As I shared on Facebook the other day, you don't have to go to a witch doctor in the bush to be able to exactly Machiavelli, young Machiavelli, yes, vicarious joy. That is truth. People these days, unfortunately, don't like to see people happy, and it's an unconscious state of witchcraft.
Mm.
It is an unconscious state of witchcraft that is not nice. So this is where you have to look out to see what is the aura. When you share your good news, what is the aura of this person? Like when you share that something good is about to happen to you or something good has happened to you. What this person actually brings. Do they bring smile? Do they bring laughs? Or do they bring silence? If they bring silence, look at it. Don't forget to like the video. Don't forget to share it with persons because we haven't really a valid discussion tonight. Some of us need to wake up. Some of us need to wake up because the people that we love are the very persons, unfortunately, when I mean love, quote unquote love, or the people who are showing us love could be our place of mediocrity, could be the place of actually holding us back from actually us catapulting to where we need to get to. And persons need to hear this. So, even when we look at Jonathan in the Word of God, the scripture, because we can't have these conversations and not speak about the Bible. We can't have these conversations and not speak about the blueprint of what we have as life. Jonathan, he was Saul's son. You need internet? Look it right there. Look the password and stuff right there. Jonathan was Saul's son. David was anointed to be king. David is not of the blood lineage of Saul. God told Samuel, how long will you mourn for Saul, seeing that I have rejected him to be king? People, the very thing that God rejects in our life, that is the very thing that we just hold on to. And that is the very thing that we forfeit our future with, and we stay in our present circumstance, living it over, year go, year come. Year go, year come. We live the same circumstances. because we have a grip. And that grip is not that we don't know we have to let go, you know. The grip is in the memories. The grip is in the emotions. The grip is in everything that is present and past. And our future is crying out for us. Everybody that is waiting for us to evolve to that person is crying out for us. They are actually waiting for us to evolve and become that person. But we are held back by the silent murderers in the mediocre place. But get this, one thing I would share, when the silent murderers become active killers because you're trying to come out of that place of mediocrity, this is when now, in order to try and less all confrontation, in order to try and, you know, we just try to quell the situation. We don't want any trouble. We don't want any problem. Let's try to keep it as peaceful as possible. Sometimes it takes chaos to get to your next level.
Correct.
Sometimes it takes madness to get to your next level. But it is how determined you want to break free from the mediocre friend, mediocre family, mediocre workplace in order for you to evolve. It is who want it more bad. It's either you want them to hold on to you so much that you cannot, that you feel like you can't let go of them. You cannot let go of them because that present and past is what you are now trying to adapt into your future. And God is telling you, let go. God is telling you, let go, let go. And you're holding on, and you keep holding on in the name of emotional love, of what the memories. I go through so much with them, but you went through that with them in a season when they were a silent murderer. Now they became an active killer. An active killer because you're ready to come out of mediocrity.
True.
But when they become an active killer, you now have to also become an active killer as well. Little do you know, it's either you take me out or I take you out. Which one?
Yep.
You got to make up your mind. It's either them take you out, as in take out your future, because you can live present, live mediocre, and live your life right there and never attain to all the things that God have in store for you.
True.
Never. And right there, you're living your debt, and you didn't even know that you're living your debt because you didn't actually end up in a coffin. You didn't end up in a coffin. So because you're not in a coffin, you don't think that you are dead. Because you are still doing everything, you're going to work. You're still doing your paperwork as normal. So you don't think that it's time to leave the job just yet. You don't think that it is time to give up on this friendship just yet. Or you don't think that it's time for you to move out from this family place or move to a different environment to break free from the hold that family have on you, because family have a hold on you. Little do you know. And when I mean family, it doesn't necessarily have to be blood. Some of these friends you all take as well. You take these friends as family and you are loyal to these family, you know, in the name of emotional connection. That ain't saying that they weren't there for you at a point in time. It could have been, but it could have been for a season and a purpose that has already been fulfilled. But because they hold on, sucking you like a leech, drying you up, taking your substance. But the thing about it is because you carry more resource than them. So they are sucking from your resource. But it keeps them alive. It keeps them relevant. You understand? So that's why I said you are dead while yet alive. But because you're not in a coffin, you believe that you're not dead. Because you're living the routine of life. It is as you're not coming out, you're just in that place. And you know, you will just have circumstance. You know, there's a circumstance where you may go through something, and you say, I feel like if this happened already. I feel like this, you know, something happened to me the other day, and when it happened, I started praying, I started breaking, I started losing that thing. Let me tell you, I was here home. Let me share this, and my gas ran out. I was cooking in the middle of cooking, and my gas ran out, and I was like, "Oh shoot!" Yeah, thanks. Actually, it's all right. It's all right. I will just. It's okay. So, because I think it's in the fridge and they will have to pass. Yeah. All right, good. So, yeah, so my gas ran out. And I said, but the gas finished already? When I jump on Facebook, I saw in my Facebook stories the very day 2 years ago, I posted on my Facebook stories why I have to be running down Ramco gas van when my gas finish. Yeah, I don't have a problem having to run down Ramco gas van. Me and them does real have it out here. Thank you so much. So when I realized the very day that my gas finish is the very day 2 years after, man, I start to break patterns. I didn't take it lightly, and I did not take it for joke. You know, circumstances such as that is things we are not to play with. Not to play with. Anything at all I realize repeating in my life, I take a hold of that and I break that thing in prayer. Because which means that there is a pattern, something along the way that is silently underneath that we cannot account for. So when I saw that, I took that one time and I dealt with it. You know, sometimes we tend to say, wait now, I feel like if this happened already. Spiritually, it is called something called a Nima cycle. It is called a Nima cycle, where they have you in a loop. A spirit has you in a loop. And in that loop, it means that something has happened already and it's replaying itself because it is a pattern that has taken place in your life.
And for years that can happen to you.
Yes. And what it does is it puts yourself in a position of delay. That is where the spirit of delay is introduced, and now there is a lack of progress in your life. It is a serious thing. It is a serious thing. So anyhow, now that we get that out of the way, and you know our minds are in a different place, let's get to the part with respect to the dream interpretations now. So, dreams. Now, mind you, what I will say, disclaimer, sometimes you may see someone in a dream because there is something called a manipulating spirit. What that manipulating spirit can do is it can use someone's face and bring that person in your dream, and they can use that person, and that person could very well be the person that God is sending as help. So you have to be very careful when in dreams and you see someone, but you see them in a scenery or a scenario as an enemy. What you have to look at and identify to make sure it is not a masquerading spirit is make sure you get that dream twice, 3 times, 4 times, and it is the same person happening in a negative scenario in the dream. So that now rules out the play of the manipulative spirit, because manipulative spirit could only go so far. right? But once it is reoccurring, then it is cause for alarm, right? So you all get that. So if it is that you dream a particular person in your dream, in a scenario, wherever it may be, and that person has on your clothes, whether it's a friend, we're dealing with the tree one time, bap, bap, bap. Whether it's a friend, a family member, or a co-worker, you dream that person in your clothes. It could be your pants, your top, your hat. Worse yet if it's your hat, because hat carries another spiritual meaning in the realm of the spirit. Right? Hat shows a measure of authority, which means that you may be in a position of authority and that person is gunning for your position. But that's a whole other topic. Right? If you dream that someone is in your clothes more than once, or that someone has an item of yours that is in their possession in your dream, that person is someone that you need to be very careful with, very much aware with, very cautious, for want of a better term, with. Now, physically, that person could be the nicest person on earth to you. That person could be a gem. They bring things for you to eat. They bring nice clothes when they went away for you. All manner of things. But every time you dream this person, you're not seeing them in a good light. It means that, good night, my dear. Well, please stay here. Good night, mommy. That's my grandmother. And I think, and my mother, my grandmother and my mother, Colleen Rogers, Berry Rogers. Good night. Yola, excuse me, I just need to pay some respects to my granny. So, if you see someone, a friend, a co-worker, or a family member, this is where you have to draw the line, because you could have much love for these people, but at the end of the day, physically, they mean you nothing good. And that is the truth. They mean you nothing good. The hard part is actually accepting the fact that they mean you no good. Because you could take a dream and say, it is just a dream. It is way more than a dream. It is a communicative language of God is trying to let you know this is the heart of this person towards you. As much as you cannot see it physically, because physically they are nice. Spiritually, I am God and I see the heart of men. So I am showing you, when you lay upon your bed, as God said, as the word of God says in Job, God speak once, twice, and man comprehend it not. When he lay upon his bed, he lay the instructions in and seal it. It is up to you if you want to take it. But a lot of us don't understand God because he speak in dark speeches. So dreams is now something where you have to build a vocabulary. If you do not build your vocabulary, just like how you learn Spanish, you learn French, you learn English, if you speak another language, learning about the dream world is also actually having a dictionary to go to then of what it means. So it now gives you an insight of what God is actually trying to say. Because if you see someone in your clothes, you might not necessarily think it bad. If you see them with an item that is yours in your hand, you may just very well think it's just to walk up to them and take it. No, it actually means that something that you have a virtue that they desire. So they actually want to put on your persona in order to transfer what is called your star. If I go into that, that's a whole other different topic again. But I will touch on it briefly, because most times when someone is after you, it's because they are actually after your star. Your star is your destiny, what you actually supposed to accomplish in this life. And if they find that that star shining a little more too brighter than theirs, they will try to take it from you. And it is possible to exchange destinies in the spirit. It is possible. a sister who you have could jealous you down to the last, and the mother like that sister more than you, that mother have authority to exchange your destiny and give it to your sister and you wouldn't know.
Sorry, they say in the city in Nigeria.
You don't see, well, yeah, exactly. Exactly. You don't see it. And it is, and what they are actually showing is actually truth. It is true thing. Because what we get so accustomed, people, in this living in this world. You see, living the normal, going to work and just living in life. We get totally not sober. We get drunk in the world that we're not sober to the mother spirit world, where things are conceived. Your mother could exchange your destiny and give your sister or your brother. Your father could do the same. They could tie you to an altar. They could tie you to an altar. So once you see your clothes or any item that you know belongs to you straying in a dream, in a vision, take it in tonight. If you see somebody now and you see that they have on your clothes, but more than once, make sure it is not a masquerading spirit. Sorry. Make sure it's not a masquerading spirit. So that is one. If you see somebody, if you see yourself fighting them, constantly you see yourself fighting with your sister, or you see yourself fighting with this friend, or you see yourself fighting with this co-worker, and it's battle every time, it is a cause for alarm, it is a cause for concern. It doesn't mean anything good. But as I say, make sure that the identification is more than once. Right? So, more than once actually tells you that this person is not. If you even see certain animals near somebody more than once, a snake, we know snakes in dream. Come on. Snakes in dream, no good. Snakes on a tree, no good. Because trees, I think I mentioned this last week, I cannot remember. If you see a tree in your dream, it is not actually a tree, but the tree represents someone. It actually is now for you to figure out who that someone is. If you see a snake is on that tree, it means that there is someone that is nearby. If that snake is not biting, if that snake is not pouncing, but that snake is silent, it means that person is very near to you. Very near to you. And you do not know that that person is an enemy of yours because they are so nice physically. But if that snake bites, that snake is either two things, was sent with an intention to make accomplish something that you need to abort. What we did last week is anything conceived in the spirit is either one out of two things. It either must give birth or it has to be aborted. We did that last week. For those who were online last week, anything conceived in the mother realm, it is either it give birth into this physical realm or it be aborted. It all depends on what you do about it when you get the dream. So as soon as you get up, the thing about it is, what you have to do, a lot of persons don't remember their dreams. That is a whole other topic again, because they are actually entities that are set up in order to snatch your dreams. Before you get up, sometimes you're getting up and you're remembering it, but as soon as you open your eyes, it's gone. Gone. Because that entity right there, waiting to snatch the message. So it could either be in the form of spirit sent, or an animal. Most times the crow spirit, what we call the kobo here. In Trinidad and Tobago, we call it the kobo. But internationally, they may call it the crow. most times in the realm of the spirit, the animal responsible for snatching your dreams is the crow. Right? Is one of the birds that they'll be able to use. So
Find that thing what I had to
the entities,
to find that same thing, what you say that you know what I had to do? Don't open my eyes.
and
Dream,
pull it,
dream. Pull the whole dream.
pull it.
Great. Why say I close? Pull the whole dream and then get up and finish prayer again to make sure you capture it and when you open your eyes, you don't forget.
You won't forget.
Because it used to happen.
Well, this is where you now have to develop your tactic. You now have to develop your tactic to be able to grab a hold of what the message is in order to be able, because it could be crucial for your day. It could actually save your life from someone, a friend that may be trying to set things in place for you that you believe is your friend, a family member, because don't rule out people are God. Do not rule out family members. I am telling you, do not rule out family. The day you rule out family could be the day that you're ruling out where your actual problem reside. Whether it be whom, everybody is a suspect until everybody prove themselves. Leave it at that. Everybody is a suspect until they prove themselves. Until they prove themselves. And when I mean prove themselves, not just in the physical, because people will show you, hi, how you going? You good? And in the spirit, when you lay upon your bed, God is telling you something different. How do you deal with that? Right. So the workplace as well, when we deal with the workplace, if you see yourself having a small doorway, and every time you reach to work, the doorway getting smaller and smaller for you to go to work, it is showing that it's time for you to leave that place. You are in this workplace or wherever you are too long, and it is time to go. If you see yourself as a giant or you're bigger than the building or the workplace itself, you have overstayed your time in a particular place, a particular season is over, and you are still there. It means that you could end up in a season of delay of what your next level is supposed to be. Unfortunately so. It could happen in our workplace. It could happen in any circumstance of life. But I'm using the workplace as the example. Anywhere you are and you see a doorway diminishing for you to pass through, but it is some place that you normally report to, or it is some place that you are often, even at home. Let me say, if you see the doorway to your home getting smaller, it is telling you something. There is a message there for you. You have overstayed your place, your time in a particular place, and it is time to move on, whether it is to start your own business, whether it is to send out applications to somewhere else. It is something that one needs to take into consideration. If you see yourself covered in whatever work you do, if you're a 9 to 5 person and you see yourself covered in paper, you see yourself drowning in paper. If you are a construction worker, you see yourself in cement. If you're a hairdresser and you see yourself just all in your product, whatever it is you do, once you see yourself covered in your material, it means that you are drowning in what you are doing. The drowning signifies is either one out of two things. Either the work that is being allotted to you is way more than you're supposed to have, if you're in a particular portfolio, or if it is that you operate your own business and you are drowning in your material, it is time now to seek help. It is time to seek help, one, and it could be an identification as well as a direction to look at. If you're in business by yourself and your business Let's say if you have loans, if you have debts, if you have things to pay. But it all will be based on how the context of the dream comes into place, right? So the context will tell you if it is that it's time to seek help, or you're actually in debt that you need to start coming out of, right? Because when you think about Joseph in the Bible, and when he was in prison, when he interpreted the dream of the baker got a dream with bread. That is his material. The butler got a dream with grapes, which wine he used to serve to the Pharaoh. He got a dream with what his material is. So whatever space of work that you are in, that is what you would see. And that will tell you exactly what it is that you have to actually overcome, one, or if you have to seek help, two, right? Or if you see the door and the door is getting small, or you are getting too big for it, it means that it's time to move on from a particular place. If you see cameras, people, if you see cameras looking at you in a dream, whether you see those cameras on a workplace, or you see those cameras in your house, you just see these cameras following you, or you see someone taking pictures of you with a phone, it actually is the direction that there is someone that is monitoring you. Someone that is actually, either they sent a spirit to monitor you, or they are actually the person monitoring you to carry back news on you. Might be the work snitch. If you see the camera on work, in your workplace, it might very well be the work snitch looking to gather some information on you to conspire against you. If you see it in family settings and you see those cameras, it may be family trying to gather information to work against you. If you see a friend taking a picture of you and you see this friend continuously taking pictures of you, that friend could be gathering information of how to bring you down. Unfortunately so. Right? So the circumstances are really vast when you look at it as to how things happen differently of what it means in the mother realm, in the spiritual realm, the fourth dimension as we called it last week, as to how we see things here. Last week we spoke about shoes, and we know shoes, we wear physical shoes here, but we know shoes in the realm of the spirit, it signifies relationship, it signifies marriage. So if it is that you see shoes in the realm of the spirit, and based on what color you see, just to recap, it means something totally different. If that shoes is dirty, we know what it means based on last week's teaching. If that shoe is clean and that shoe is of a particular color, we know what it means based on last week's teaching. If you didn't catch last week's teaching, go on my wall, go on Single and Cultivated page, and you will see last week's teaching on what we did with relationship, marriages, and marital delay. Right? So those are the three that we are covering tonight. And those are the three in which we decided to get deep into. So anybody want to ask anything? Anything you want to share? You're a quiet boy. You're good? Right. Well, if it is that you all have no questions, no concerns, that would be all tonight for Eat and Teach. So we teach first, now we're going to eat. Right? So unless you all pop your popcorn, unless you all have your own stuff to eat at home, we are going to do our engaging here with respect to the eating part. So it's teaching and then we eating. But the name of it is Eat and Teach. So we would have gathered and hope that you all were blessed. I thank you all so much for those that joined. And I thank you all for those who came out tonight. Really nice, So it really was a time, it's really some things that we really have to look into. What do you want? What do you want? It's all about what you want. Because I could want good for you, but if I want, actually, I could want great for you, but you want good for yourself. If you want good, I would leave you with good, but understand that my requirement for you is great. So if it is that you do not want great and you want to settle with good, by all means do so. But as for me, I desire great. And if I desire great, it means that I have made up in my mind whomsoever I have to cut off in order to ascend to great. So be it. Because the expired persons are the persons that hold on to you the hardest. The expired people. Go ahead.
I think, I mean, what was said before, I think when it comes to family, it's kind of hard when you have to say you identify, say, a family member or members that may be,
In that light.
yes, and it's hard for persons to make decisions when they live in the same household,
I know, I know, I know, I
you
know,
know?
I know. So I mean, it's it's difficult, but as I would say, nothing is impossible, because I mean, when persons now start taking it, it all starts with identification. If someone can identify that, hear what, this person, this place, this atmosphere is what is holding me down or what is keeping me back. Mind you, it could be somebody that you love. It could have been somebody that was there for you at a season when you was down and out. But you know what that person would use? I was there for you. I do this for you, or I do that for you, and this is how you repay me. They will now take you on that guilt trip as if you owe them your future, not knowing that they have a future of their own to cultivate, but because they have the resource that is coming from you, and they feel that the investment that they made into you is enough to lock you down for life. That is where the problem comes. So it all begins with identification and a proper means of prayer. Because this is something that I believe would have to be done in secret. Because God could cause a separate. Here now. This God could cause a separation that you know is necessary. The moment you identify that the separation is necessary, once you realize the separation is necessary, God Himself will orchestrate a scene whereby you don't even look like the bad one. God will orchestrate the scene whereby the separation comes. But you know why? Because He see your heart actually crying out to go to the next level, to actually be separated from what you know you need to be separated from in order to evolve, to blossom into the next level of the person you're supposed to be. But it had to start with identification, and it must begin with vigorous prayer for God to actually unhinge you. Now, the thing is, with the unhinging, don't mind you, it does hurt, you know. It does hurt. Don't feel because you prayed and you asked for it, think that when it happens, you would feel like, yeah, it happened, and find out, nope, it's going to hurt. You're going to second guess yourself. Do I really want to let this go? This is where you're going to actually be in a place of between a rock and a hard place. And the very things that the person tell you is going to start replaying back in your mind. But this person was really there for me in truth. You'll start to second guess yourself. But it's not yourself you're second guessing, you know. You're second guessing your next level self. You're second guessing the person of who you're supposed to become. Because you know at that place where you said, now I owe this person my loyalty. but this person is an expired person that you keep pumping fresh loyalty into. Over and over, you pump fresh loyalty into that which is already expired, because what they did it in that moment, but they believe that it is enough to capture your loyalty for a lifetime, even when they cannot come to the comprehension that they were supposed to be there for a season. It is difficult for someone to accept the fact that they were only supposed to be in your life for a season. That's a very harsh reality to accept. As I was explaining with Jonathan, if I meet people with the heart of Jonathan, I am holding on to those people. Jonathan showed what it's like to be a friend to David, because when Jonathan was supposed to be the one next in line for the throne, he actually submitted himself, because he knew not just that David was anointed to be king, but he knew David was also equipped to be king. So he was able to put himself under the submission of David, not being puffed up in his heart of, I am the one that is supposed to be there, I deserve it, because Saul was my father. And some of us think like that. So this is why I say no. It takes a really mature mind and a mature thinking for someone to really say, you know what? I really was supposed to be in your life for a season. And I understand that I'm supposed to be there for a season. And it takes a mature person to walk. It takes a mature person who do not want to become an active killer to walk.
True. And I would just like to add too that
Mhm.
persons have to understand that everyone has a season,
Yes.
right? It may be your season, it may not be my season, right? But at the time when it is your season, you should all celebrate, rejoice, be happy for one.
Rejoice.
Because when my season comes, I would also like the same, that I'm able to celebrate
Someone
people being
else.
happy for me.
That's good.
So I think we have to have that level of understanding too, that we, it's not everybody has a season that they come into.
Yeah.
And therefore, if you're a true friend, or true family member,
Or a true
or
co-worker.
true co-worker, so one has to understand that not everybody has also the same gifting too as well.
That part.
Right?
That
It's
is
different
such.
gifting, different
Yeah.
seasons, and therefore we have to be mature. We have to be real friends. We have to be really have that level of love in our hearts, that we can share that love with each other.
I am hoping, I'm hoping that, well, for me, I could only hope. I'm hoping that this gives a clear-cut identification, even if it's to one person. Even if it's one person that could wake up tonight and really start going through the list of friends in their mind, going through the list of family, going through the list of workers around you, and really start putting persons in their correct category, and be prepared for the silent murderers to become active killers.
Because when you are at in a stage of life,
Yeah,
are you really okay? Are
are
you
you?
giving of your best?
That's
Have
truth.
you reached your true potential?
Because it now puts you in a place where, you have to be prepared as well to make sure that you are not the silent killer, that you are not the silent murderer
As well.
as well. So not just looking at, but also looking into. Because so it's both ways. Because we could as well be the silent murderer for someone else.
Yes.
But it takes maturity to actually say, especially if you would have listened to this teaching tonight, if you are someone else's silent murderer, understand, come to that place, accept that. Because you would know, you would know if you are someone else's silent murderer.
You're honest.
If you are honest with yourself and you could see someone going down a wrong path. They're doing something wrong, but you are that yes person. If you are that yes friend, tonight is the night to check yourself. If you are that yes friend, that that person was wrong, they shouldn't have done that. Or you see somebody actually did something, but as I said, we don't hang people naked. We're not about that life. We don't hang people naked. We don't do that. But there is always a moment in time where you are able to put that person, sit down and identify. If it's nothing else we remember tonight, accountability is a high price to pay. But once we recognize that accountability is so high, we tend to not want to pay it often. But if we escape paying accountability all the time, we will continue doing the same thing. And if you have a yes friend or a yes partner, that person afraid, that wife or that husband afraid to tell you, here what, this is the circumstance. But they're telling you for your growth. They're telling you for you to evolve to be someone else. But that person has not yet have an individuality, a persona mature to that place. To be as a husband or a wife or a friend, to tell you, here what, this is the perspective. It is up to you to know, discern right from wrong, and take to see if what I'm saying is truth or if what I'm saying is a lie. But if what you give them is a yes, I'm siding with you, whether you're right or you're wrong, eventually when you all stand before God, the both of you all will be standing together. Each man will have to stand for themselves. And in the moment in time when your heart convicted you, knowing that you were supposed to hold that person accountable. Now, let's say in the aspect of a wife, if you are a helper or a helpmate, good night, infinity and beyond. Yes, good night. Thank you for joining us. Share it with your friends, share it with your family, share it with anyone that you think needs to hear. If it is that you are, let's say a wife, in the case of a wife, I would use that direction for one who is called to be a helper. You are called to help a man fulfill his vision. Let's see now, as a wife, as a helper, if it is that you have not developed the mature individuality of what you are supposed to bring to the table as a helper, to help guide that man when he is probably taking a wrong step or a wrong direction. But in his mind, he's correct. In his own world, don't tell him anything. If you do not have that spice, so to speak, or that voice of rationale that brings him to a state of, here what, I laid this before you and I laid that before you. Honey, you choose which one you think is the best one. Whereby you now put him in a place where he now has to use the inner man to discern the right one and the wrong one. And in that way, you don't belittle him. But with him now having the choice, it now gives him the greater opportunity to become accountable, to pay the price of accountability, to know that when he paid the price of accountability now and how high the price is, that he wouldn't want to pay it again. So that is in the state of a helper. That is a woman bringing the individuality of her personality into a marriage. If it is he married her, yes, honey, no, honey, because she probably either afraid the man or she afraid losing the person, or her perspective is not one that is developed that the man can count on. Actually, that to me is a state of, that ain't submission. That is submission gone wrong. Why I say it's submission gone wrong? Because a lot of us mishandle that word submission. And there are a lot of husbands as well mishandle the word submission. And the word of God also says, if we were to have that topic, that we ought to submit one to another. Exactly. So it's not just the aspect of wives submit to thine own husbands, but it's also we got to submit to one another. And this is where the aspect of the accountability would now come in. Because we now have to submit to one another, it means we now have to come to a place of reasoning. And when we come to that place of reasoning, and you are now seeing the light of what I could possibly be saying as a wife, it now brings you to a place of accountability. I did not emasculate you. I did not threaten your manlyhood, but I placed before you two perspectives by which you can choose one based on the discernment that you have within you. So with that discernment you have within you, it may now convict you to be held accountable for whatever it may be. And once you are now held accountable and you pay the high price of accountability, you wouldn't want to pay it again. Now, I'm a person, I take notes. And it is good for both men and women to be able to take notes, especially when you come to a place of dispute. When you come to a place of dispute and there's a disagreement in a home, and you now have an aspect of dispute resolution and you realize, okay, this actually resolved this circumstance. It is good to take notes. So you now have a mechanism that works. If you are somebody that, okay, something happened and you just decide, well, all right, emotional love step back in again and the love start flowing again. But the accountability was missing. One. And the actual resolution for the dispute was also missing. We just skipped over it and we decided, let's go back to being emotional love again. Back to normal, as if something didn't happen, as if there wasn't an issue that needed to be sorted out. When an issue arises for a cause of measure of growth. And it is if the two persons are not at a place of maturity, as I said before, and they are not in a place of being the actual mesh, the actual rib for that Adam, it puts the situation in a perspective where one could be lacking the understanding of what the other is trying to say. So it means now that the process for dispute resolution becomes more difficult. So dispute resolution will be a thing will not be something that is in this household. It will be that something happened. Okay, I forgive you, you forgive me, let's look over this. But there is no actual rubric of how we can identify. Let's say at the end of the year, okay, we had this issue and this is what we did to resolve it. We had this problem, this is what we did to resolve it. Marriage is an institution. I don't know how we end up here. I don't know how we end up here, but nevertheless, we're here. It is an institution, just like how we would have a company. When companies have problems, there is because we need a solution to the problem. If it is you overlook the problem long enough, that very problem that you have never found a solution to will one day blow up and could cost you your company. In this case, your institution. So, accountability, the word of the night, a high price to pay, but it's a price that ought to be paid in order to remove the silver lining of who is actually friend, to don't be that yes friend, don't be that yes wife or that yes husband, in order to grow. Because if you're that yes person, you stay at mediocrity, you die at mediocrity while yet living, right? So I'm grateful for all that joined us tonight. I'm grateful for your time. Hope to be here in person at one of your sessions soon. We're gonna open it to the public. We're gonna open it to the public in a while. We're gonna end here tonight. We're gonna end here for now. And I thank you so much for those that would have joined in. Thank you for those that are here.
Yes, thank
You know, those that are here. Thank you all so much. It has really been a nice journey, and we were gonna see you all next Friday. I did say last week that I would try to go live more often during the week, which I did not. Forgive me. But I will try my best to see if that can be done this week during the week before we get to Friday. But we're gonna be back here Friday, next Friday, for Eat and Teach again. And eventually we're gonna open it to the public. We're gonna have a list, we're gonna have a guest list. So if it is that you are interested in coming in person, hit me up so that when that time comes, I would know that you would have been one that is interested. So again, we thank you so much for joining us. And for those that will hear this after, I hope it bless your heart just as it blessed us. All right?
Yes.
So y'all, we are out, over and out. Y'all have a blessed Friday evening. Be safe. Y'all remember to pray because this world is wicked and it is evil. Hear me? But nevertheless, God remains the one that sits on the throne. So you all have a blessed night and all the best. I love you all. Bye.
Good night.